Okay, so I'm Mr. Rosenberger, back again, back at you. We're going to talk about reflexive verbs. As the book calls it, they call it reflexive constructions. I'm looking at page 156. 156 is the page that we will be on. But first, I want to start off on page 153. Here is a list of vocabulary. And the very tippy top beside my man over here shaving himself is a list of verbs. And you'll notice with these verbs, they're a little bit different from verbs we've seen in the past. Verbs in Spanish either end in AR, ER, or IR. I'm sure you remember that. These, though, they have SE on the end of them. And that's new, that's different, that's a little weird. If you see a verb with SE on the end, that means it is a reflexive verb. We don't use those a whole lot in English. All those verbs are verbs that you can do to yourself as an action. So I get myself up, or I shower myself, or I wash myself, or I shave myself. All that reflexive means is that it's something you can do to yourself. And that's kind of the deal with the SE. And again, that was the list of those that we'll use in this class are on the top of page 153, our vocab list. So, if we can flip back now to page 156, and by the way, you can pause, you know this, but you can pause this video at any time and flip in either your textbook or your online text, whatever you have, to follow along if that helps you. So again, they have the SE on the end. That's a little weird. By the way, here's my cat. He's a little weird too. Good timing. Thanks, ma'am. So we have the SE on the end. And I'm going to attempt to teach to a camera, and this is new to me, so we'll see how this goes. But we have that SE on the end, and here's the deal. That SE is going to change depending on who it is that is doing the action to themselves. So for example, as you see on page 156, in the box kind of in the middle, we have some options here. The say, well, that pen doesn't work. The say can change to a may, M-E, if I'm doing something to myself. So the may is myself. The te is yourself. Don't knock that off, jerk. If you do something to yourself, we'd use the te there. And if you notice, we have say, again, looking at the little chart in the middle 156, we have say there frequently, a lot. Say can refer to a lot of things. It can refer to himself or herself. And it can also be you formal. Because it's like the usted form, and if you remember, usted is a formal you. So we have, whoop, wrong hand, there we go. We got may, cat, we got may, which is myself. If I get myself up, or I wash myself, we have te, which is yourself, and it's the informal version, just like tu. If you get yourself up, you shave yourself, you wash yourself, whatever, we're going to use te. We have say, that could be you formal, or he or she gets himself up, she gets herself up, washes herself, or whatever. Those are the three we have up to this point. We also, cat, you're on my book, we have nos, N-O-S. That is for ourselves. If we wash ourselves, or any of those verbs that we use, we brush ourselves, what have you, we're going to use nos. Really, one left, and that is say again. We're going to use say for ourselves or themselves. So these are our little pronouns, and this probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense at this point, but we're going to use these and use them pretty frequently. So let's look at our first example, okay? We're going to use, let's see how this works, the verb lavarse. Lavarse, it means to wash yourself. So if you notice, we have an AR here, so it's an AR verb, but as I said before, we have the SE on the end, and that's new, that's different, but we're going to figure out how all that works in just a minute. So I want to say I wash myself, okay? So how do we say I? Hopefully you remember that we say I as our first example. Put these in a box. I is yo, so I'm going to write yo, because I'm the one doing the action here. And we need to do some steps in order to sort of make this make sense. The first step is I'm going to move this SE to the front. I'm going to move it out front. That is step 1. Okay, if you're taking notes, I might pause it right now and write, if you're writing or typing notes, write that step 1 is this, to move that SE out in the front. And if we do that, you'll notice I got yo, getting ahead of myself, yo se lavar. That's what I have as soon as I move the SE out front. Now that we've done that, that's a normal AR verb. It doesn't look funny or weird or different than any other AR verb because my little pronoun thing is out of the way. So that's good. We want it out of the way because we know how to do that, right? Just take off the ending and add something to it. So that was step 1. We moved the SE out in front, and this is what we have at this point. Now, step 2 is we're going to deal with our pronoun that we just moved. So we need to deal with it. We have our options here in our little box, and we need to choose one of those options that works with my subject. In this case, it's I. I'm the one doing the action. I am washing myself. So, which of these guys is going to work with I? It's going to be May right here, because May is myself, and that works if I'm the one doing it to myself. So, step 2 is I'm going to change this to an M. So, yo me lavar. Now, those two work together. I with myself. It kind of makes sense. That is step 2 right there. We have one more step. We're almost done. This might be the easiest one. This is the one you hopefully have the most practice with. Step 3 is we're going to deal with our ending. It's just a normal AR verb. So what we're going to do, we're going to take off the last 2 letters. That's what we always do. And we now need to add something back to it. It is, I want the yo form of the verb. If you remember, the yo is always going to be an O for your ending. Yo me lavo is what it's going to be. I wash myself. You kind of got to go out of order a little bit if you're reading it left to right. To recap really fast, here are all of our possible pronouns that we're going to use to work with our subject, whoever it is that's doing the action, to himself or herself or to ourselves. So step 1 is we got our verb. It has SE on the end. That's no good. We got to get the SE out of the way. So that's what we do first of all. We move it out in front, and I had that here. Step 2, we have to choose one of these that works with our subject. In this case, it was I. I'm the one doing it, so I need may because that works with I. Finally, step 3, we conjugate our verb. Take off the last 2 letters and add the correct ending. We learned those endings back in chapters 2 and 3, I think. So if you need to flip back, that would be the place to look. I hope this was helpful. Any questions, email me.